You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, me and Pat are going to talk about Ayo Dusnmu. Could he be on his way out? Well, according to 670 The Score, he may not be returning. We're also going to ask, will the Bulls make the playoffs, and go over the Bulls' preseason schedule. We're going to get to all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, man, one of the biggest questions going around right now is what's going on with Ayo Dusnmu. The Bulls extended him a qualifying offer. Doesn't seem like they've reached a long-term deal. Me and you talked about a couple of weeks ago that maybe there was an interest with the Toronto Raptors there. Well, now, according to 670 Store, Dan Bernstein, and I can't remember who he was talking to on the podcast, we're discussing it. And, you know, ultimately it seems like there is now growing thought that Ayo is just not going to be going by. The direct quote, I believe, was every day that goes by, it becomes more likely that he will not return to the Chicago Bulls. What you thinking, Pat?
It's interesting, right? Because Dan Bernstein, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to go on a mic and you know, make something up that isn't there. But what I will say is that we heard from the organization already that just because we haven't signed Ayo yet doesn't mean we won't sign Ayo. And here's the thing that is confusing to me. Have people forgotten how unrestricted free agency or how restricted free agency works?
Yeah.
Unless the Toronto Raptors offer Ayo Dusnmu $12 million a year, the Chicago Bulls probably are going to match anything, I would say up to $7 million, right? Like I don't think that's a crazy number to say the Bulls probably try and bring Ayo back and hope for the best with him.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
I was just going to say, like, the thought process of, and we heard this from this anonymous source in the front office, and me and you have always been very skeptical of the anonymous source in the front office,
unnamed
right?
Source, yeah.
Hey, I asked Courtney Cronin about it on the Chicago Bears podcast. I was like, who are these people? And she was like, there's a lot of people in the front office, but usually there is like these could be. So apparently scouts are counted in the front office.
That makes sense, though.
It does make sense because you're reporting right to the GM, right? But it's one of those things where a scout can feel a certain type of way about something, whatever that is, right? So I kind of view the anonymous sources. Who are you? But at the end of the day, I think that when it comes down to this, and when you look at a guy like Ayo Dusnmu, the ball is in Ayo's court. The Bulls can't do anything. The Bulls have done all they can with Ayo. There's nothing about this that says that the Chicago Bulls can't do anything outside of that. There's not people are sitting here and they're like, well, they can't sign Ayo Dusnmu. Well, that's not how the CBA works. They absolutely can sign Ayo Dusnmu to a matched contract because that's how contracts work when you're a restricted free agent. The Bulls can match it. There's a number where they probably shouldn't match it, but they can match it. And so to me, I think I don't see Toronto or whatever team that's rumored offering him more than $7 million. I think the Bulls probably match that. If Toronto goes all in and they're like, we're going to offer Ayo Dusnmu $12 million or $10 million, and the Bulls, just so the Bulls can't match it because we believe he's going to be more, that's a whole different story in that situation.
Yeah, and I think people also need to realize as well is that with Ayo Dusnmu only being in the NBA 2 years, if he does only accept the qualifying offer, guess what? He's a restricted free agent again next year.
Yeah, no, 100%. So it could come down to that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it could come down to a team overpaying to hope that he comes in. But I'm not of the belief that this is a done deal. AK has said this, and based on the moves that he's made, he believes it. He wants to build through the draft. Why do we know that? He traded back into the draft, 2 first-round picks, gave a 4-year contract to this young man, Julian Phillips. We haven't seen him play I'm so used to football talk, right? I was about to say a second of NBA basketball.
Yeah.
4-year deal.
Well, he also learned from his mistake with the Ayo situation, I think. But I here's what I'll say. I understand that there is a chance, right? Because I do think if a team does come in, all it takes is one team that's left with a bunch of free agent money and that says, hey, we're actually going to offer Ayo a 14-year contract. Technically, because of the hard cap, the Bulls can't offer it. They can't match that. If they want to play hardball, like something with that, then yeah, the Bulls may have a difficulty matching the offer. But I think with Ayo having one solid season, it wasn't even a great season. It was a solid season. Defensively, it was amazing.
Great season defensively.
Great season defensively. He was one of his. I think people really don't remember the fact that Ayo Dusnmu was one of the best point of attack defenders his rookie year. Not 100%. For a rookie in the league. It was him and Alex Caruso, really. So, like, if he can get back to that, I think teams are going to see the promise in Ayo, but there is some cause for concern there. Like at the end of the day, Ayo, he's still solid defensively at points last season, but he just didn't have it the same way. So, I think ultimately, I'm not going to say he's going to be a Bull for sure, but I'm definitely not thinking it's a done deal as far as Ayo Dusnmu not returning to the Bulls either.
I just don't feel like and it's how they worded it, right? Every day that goes on, there's less of a chance that Ayo Dusnmu re-signs with the Chicago Bulls. He doesn't have that option. Ayo can accept whatever contract he wants to. It's not Ayo's decision.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the Chicago Bulls' decision. And so for me, I don't sit here and agree with the line of thought that they came with. It's no slight to him. It's no disrespect to him, even though I'm rocking an ESPN shirt right now. There's no disrespect to any of them, right, at the end of the day. But I am sitting here telling you that, hey, Ayo Dusnmu, unless he goes out and accepts a contract that, and here's the thing, everyone collectively in Chicago would look at and go, yeah, that's okay. You can't re-sign him for that based on what we saw last season.
Yeah.
Unless he does something like that, it's not Ayo's decision to make. And that's the tough part about it. That's the part where you look at it, right? Like you said, he's a restricted free agent again next year. But I mean, that's the game that we play. I'll ask you this though. You said something that is interesting to me. You said that AK has learned from his mistake with the Ayo Dusnmu situation. Is it a mistake based on what we saw last season? I said that there could be a sophomore slump. I think we saw it from a lot of players last year. And Ayo should be able to adjust back, but was that a mistake at the end of the day based on where we are now? Because right now you're in a situation where you either get Ayo Dusnmu, who could become what we hope he is, at an incredible discount, or you get him at, or you lose him to a contract that basically I think most people would say that's okay.
I mean, I think that yeah, it's still a mistake because you could have him under another year of absolutely, like, where you can use that third year to kind of judge, hey, is what we think we had in him real because of the second season? I think when you look at he was making less than $2 million last season. So yeah, if you would have had him again on that cap controlled type salary, regardless if he hits or miss, that's basically a vet minimum salary. If he doesn't work out, you send him at the end of your bench. There's a lot of players making $2 million on the end of benches in the NBA. So I think that's a mistake either way, because even if you lose him for a contract that you didn't feel is worth matching, you didn't have to lose him. You could have had another year, and then you could have made that decision of, hey, because the last thing that I think you want is Ayo, after a sophomore slump, to come back and figure it out in year 3, and now he's out playing in Toronto for $12 million a year.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Bulls are kind of in listen, if Ayo's making $2 million or $5 million, neither of us are losing sleep over it, right? Like, if he comes back to the Bulls and he's making, what was the qualifying offer for him? It was like 5.2 million or whatever.
5.9, something like that, I think.
I don't even know if it was
5
that
point
high.
something.
5 point something, right? Like, if he comes back making that kind of money, neither of us are sitting here like, oh my God, we got Ayo Dusnmu back on a let's say it's 6, right? Rounded up, a $6 million deal. So I don't know if
5.2, you were right.
5.2. So I don't know if the Bulls, that's closer to 5. I don't know if the Bulls are in a bad situation with the Ayo deal now, because I think if he comes out in year 3 and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, he kind of did the same thing as year 2, we feel good about that. You spent $5 million on a guy just to see if he comes out on the Toronto Raptors, and they're paying him $12 million, and he's kind of even the best version of what we've seen of him. $12 million is still a lot of money for the best version of what we've seen of Ayo Dusnmu, unless he becomes Drew Holiday. If he becomes Drew Holiday, that's different. But based on what we've seen of him here in Chicago, I don't feel like the Bulls have made a mistake on how they've moved with him. I think the mistake is the fact that, and probably the part that contributes most to this, we gave Marko Simonovic a 3-year deal, and I've been on the court more than he has.
Well, the thing is I think anything's a mistake when you're a team that doesn't pay the luxury tax, and you had an opportunity to have a guy that's young on your team for that controlled contract. I think that becomes a loss. Like,
if we're talking about organizational mistakes, that goes deeper than that. We don't want to open up PTSD here.
But all right, man. Next up, though, we're gonna dive into the Bulls. Will the Bulls make the playoffs? I guess we'll decide and see if how we feel about that roster. But before we do that, I gotta talk to you guys about PrizePicks, one of our sponsors here. And so PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they're going to score more or less than their PrizePicks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit 100, PrizePicks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, PrizePicks will give you 50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for instant deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat. The biggest question that faces the Chicago Bulls from both the pessimistic and optimistic Bulls fans around the world is, have the Bulls done enough in the margins? Because that's what they've done. They've increased their areas in the margins, statistically added some high-profile shot makers and defenders to that team. Have they done enough? Will the Bulls make the playoffs, Pat?
Yes.
Not playoffs.
Playoffs, 100%.
Okay.
They'll be a top 6 team next season. And call it optimistic, call it whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. Now, again, right? Like, I'm saying this based on some semblance of health. And I'm not saying this guy's got to play, 82 games, but I'm saying, if the main 3 play a solid 65 games this season, Chicago Bulls will make the playoffs, because I think there are finally pieces on this team that I can guarantee what they're going to do night in and night out. And we couldn't say that. Number 1, the point guard position. Javon Carter isn't going to be he's Bulls fans. I need y'all to understand this. He's not Lonzo Ball. Can we all good there? Right? We've said this before the season started. He's not Lonzo Ball.
But Pat.
Shut up. He's not Lonzo Ball. I need us to get ladies and gentlemen, he's not Derrick Rose. He's not. That's okay. You know what he is? Every single night, he's a defensive guy who's going to be great at the point of attack when other point guards bring the ball up the court. He is a guy who shoots 40% from the field from just about every spot on the floor, similar to what Lonzo did. And he's a guy that is going to allow Zach LaVine to play shooting guard. I know we want LeBron. I understand it.
But Pat,
shut up. I know we want LeBron. I know we want LeBron. Zach LaVine.
But Pat, Tyus Jones was traded for.
Shut up. I know that we want LeBron. Zach LaVine, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for this. I hope you're sitting down. Isn't LeBron James? He can't play 1 through 5. My God.
But Pat, we paid him $214 million.
My God. Zach LaVine is a shooting guard. I know that this is a hard.
But Pat, wait.
Shut up.
But Pat, how in the world are we going to be a playoff team with Zach LaVine
The DeMar point might be true, but the DeMar point might be true. But no, here's what I say, right? To kind of put a bow on all of this. There are when the Chicago Bulls have allowed guys to play the position, they've been guys that have won games. I'm not sitting here telling you the Chicago Bulls are going to win an NBA championship next season. That'd be stupid. There is no Miami Heat 8th seed that wins out in the playoff and goes on a run in the Chicago Bulls future. Please clip this up if I'm wrong, because I don't care. We're heading towards championship 7. But I just sit here and look at what the Bulls have done, and you can't tell me that what we've seen with a point guard where the Bulls have won 61% of their games isn't enough to tell you that they can be a 1 through 6 seed, especially in an Eastern Conference that I don't care how y'all spin it. It's not good.
Oh, you saying the Eastern Conference isn't good?
Who's good? Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Boston?
Yep.
Philly?
Yeah.
And
the Cavs. We can't act like they're not a good team. They may fumble in the playoffs, but they're a good regular season. They're going to win a lot of games in the regular season.
The whole topic is about the playoffs.
I mean,
we're talking about making the playoffs. We're talking about making the playoffs.
But to make the playoffs, so you have to go through the regular season. The Cleveland Cavaliers are probably going to. We doubted. Doubted them last season. They're probably going to win more.
We're at 4 then. We're at 4 teams. I'll agree with you. The Cavs. I like Donovan Mitchell. I think they're at 4.
Okay. And the New York Knicks. Julius Randle's going to play great for 68 games of the season, and then completely forget how to play basketball in the playoffs.
I had to leave. For those of y'all on the podcast side, I had to leave. He said the Knicks. No, it's not even a slight. Like, yes, the Knicks are good, but are they leaps and bounds better than the Bulls? No. You want to know why? Because they weren't leaps and bounds better than any of the teams that they played last season. Yes, they went on a nice little run or whatever. We don't even know if they want Julius Randle. They tried to move that man at every turn, and everybody else was like, that's okay. So when I sit here and talk about the playoffs,
why do I feel like the Knicks don't like any of their players? Like, I really do feel like they would trade RJ Barrett if they could, but it's like, dang, you play pretty good.
Fam.
Like,
here's
they
why.
Don't like any of their guys.
Here's why, and I need Bulls fans to understand this because y'all trying to run this man out of town. The Knicks tried to trade basically half the team to get Zach LaVine here.
And 3 first-round picks. That's the thing. Like, not only were you trying to trade RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, whoever else you could throw in, you were going to say, and on top of that, we will give you 3 first-round picks on top of everything else that we're throwing in there.
I don't believe that the East is that strong. I don't believe it's that good. I think there's a ton of question marks in Atlanta. I think maybe Miami.
We're not going to, like, until Trae Young gets the Derek White and good size to just shave that baby hair off, bro. Like, I've never seen a 20
fam. I met his barber.
Cradle cap.
I met his barber.
No, you didn't, bro. There's no way that he goes to actual barber.
Bro, I met his barber, and his barber literally was like, hey, bro, I cut this man hair for like 3 years in Atlanta, bro. Like, yeah, I did what I could. Hey, what did Future say? You do what you want when you pop it. You know what I mean?
That's funny, bro. I mean,
listen, I feel like I've talked and ranted on this. Do you believe that the Bulls will make the playoffs?
You have, and I mean, we've had fun with it. We cracked a lot of jokes. Here's what I'll say. Not playing devil's advocate, just to be honest. I think that when you look at how the Bulls lost 17 games last year, and 7 to 8 of those games were by a score or 3 points or less. When you look at the added 3-point shooting, I'm not going to say that the Bulls are all of a sudden going to be 17 wins more than what they were. They're not going to be a 57-win team. But I do think that if being a top 6 team in the East is 45 wins, I think the Bulls can get 45 to 46 wins next season.
But Haize, they lost so many games, they have to get worse. How can you say that they're going to win more than 45 games? They're a terrible basketball team with 3 of the worst players we've ever seen.
99.99% of the people who say that don't actually watch a game of basketball. They watch the stat sheet.
But Haize, I watched all of the full games highlights this season.
Watch your mama. Okay? Watch your mama. That's what you need to do. You need to be watching your mama.
Hey, y'all didn't even know we got Zach LaVine and Scottie Pippen on this podcast. Scotty, how do you feel about Larsa?
I don't like it.
That's hilarious, bro. Wow. I don't even know where we are. Like, we got to get into the next topic before we get up out of here. Man.
Do we? You want to talk about the preseason schedule? I
want to talk about the preseason schedule. Before we get into that, though, I do want to thank you guys. Make sure you guys check out Locked On Bulls on every podcasting app. We're free and available Monday through Friday on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube and the Odyssey app. But with that said,
oh wait, wrong button. Oh, and I still got the voice on.
There you go. That's a fun one.
Hey, listen. Did you remember when you did like 10 minutes to the post-game show with
that
the
was
pitch
the
up?
most...
And I had to literally text you like, bro, the pitch up is on right now.
You were making a real point. I was wondering why people were cracking up in the comments where I was literally just breaking down the game, and it's like, oh, the pitch up's still on.
Haize literally was like, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be able to collapse in the paint. We got to get the ball down to Vooch more. I just don't know what Billy Donovan is thinking with this. He has no offensive scheme. And at the end of the day, wait, is the pitch up on? Oh, my God.
How long has that been on?
It would have been worse if I hadn't done something like this. You know, this is how I feel. Billy Donovan's conscience talks to me. Get that gun, boy. You need the gun.
Nonetheless, we're having too much fun with the voice changer. Nick's on vacation, thank God. Nick's gonna
we can do what we want.
Yeah, no, because we almost got fired the last time we did what we want.
Dig them out.
With that said, the Bulls have 5 preseason games on their schedule this season because Pat is wilding, y'all.
It's on me. I'm wilding.
You're wilding, bro. I'm a nice, wholesome young man, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't throw me in your stuff, bro. I'm chilling right now.
I believe it was somebody who was featured on a Lil Wayne, Chris Brown song. I don't even remember buddy's name that said all that BS is for the birds. You ain't nothing but a vulture.
But the Bulls preseason game, we start October 8th against the Milwaukee Bucks. They're in Milwaukee, and then we have a home and home. We start off at home against the Denver Nuggets, then we then go to Denver, and then we play the Toronto Raptors at home as well. And we finish off our preseason at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves. 3 games at home, 2 away to end preseason. How you feeling about the schedule, Pat?
I actually like it because of this. There's not going to be a ton of games where Zach LaVine does play in this, right? You probably see him play, first 2.5, 3 games? Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, guys like that. I like this because, in my opinion, these are the teams that have the most depth. We'll get to see what the bench unit actually can look like.
That's fair. That's a great,
and
I
really appreciate for once the NBA scheduling this for the Bulls, because I think coming out of this preseason, we won't have questions. Maybe Julian Phillips, Adama Sanago, if he gets to play it all, do the preseason games count at all against the 50? I don't think so, right? No. Right. So you probably get to go, right? Like Adama Sanago, I mean, it's not Javon. I'm not gonna lie. We really didn't talk about that. Maybe we're getting this tomorrow. So tune in with us. That final 2-way contract has been offered to Justin Lewis. It's very interesting.
That's real. I don't feel like that's an interesting. They already announced that they signed you. He ended the season. They signed him back to a 2-way contract before the season ended. But keep in mind that is not Carlik Jones does not have a guaranteed contract. They offered a 2-way.
We get
qualifying
3,
offer. They offered so right now it's Justin Lewis, Adama Sanago. Terry Taylor also has a 2-way qualifying offer, but they can rescind that at any time. He's honestly kind of redundant now if you look at the bigs that we have
I get you, but like if he accepts that QO.
Well, keep in mind, 2-way contracts you can cut at any time. They're all non-guaranteed, so
you can cut them. That's true. Yeah. I guess there is that, but I'll say this: no matter what it is, right? I like the fact that the teams that we're playing in the preseason have a ton of depth on them, where we literally look at the backup players and we say they could start on other teams. I feel good about that. player against us. And so I think that the Bulls will get a good showing versus those kind of players. And I think we'll come out of preseason feeling like, okay, either we have a good bench or we don't.
Well, and the thing is that you talked heavily about it at the start of last season. Last season, the very first clip we got from training camp was Billy Donovan saying to the team, hyping them up, saying, right now we need to establish an identity. We did not get that identity until after the buyout market when Patrick Beverley came to the team. The thing that I like now is that we have what may be the identity of the Bulls when you look at Javon Carter, Torrey Craig coming to this roster and bringing in that not only do they have playoff experience, right? These are veterans. These guys come in with coming from teams that have won. So, hopefully that helps establish that identity. I just want to see the Bulls establish that. Do you think, before we go, do you think that it's going to be an open battle for any of the starting positions? Do you think point guard, power forward is going to be an open battle for those?
Point guard. I think I do believe that because what's his name is just on a training camp contract, right? Carlik Jones.
No, he's technically on a full NBA contract. It's not guaranteed until October 16th is the date that they can get out of that.
So that's kind of basically a training camp contract, kind of, right? Like they can cut him and it's okay. Or they can keep him, one or the other. Mm-hmm. I think that there is a real battle there. I don't think it's because Ayo may or may not be back, because I think Ayo plays a really interesting role on this Bulls team if they do bring him back. But I do think that there's an interesting battle there because here's the thing. Carlik can score. Javon can score. Carlik can score at the NBA level too. But Javon can score, right? And the difference is height. I was about to say something crazy. That was about to be wild.
And activity on defense. Javon Freeman-Liberty actually tries on defense. He's not the best defender. No way, shape, form, or lockdown defender. Go and watch defensive possessions with Carlik Jones. He's literally looking and being like, all right, bet, when can I run back down and get this wide open three?
No, 100%. And so and so it's I think there is a competition there because you can't tell me who our backup point guard is. Kobe White, I like Kobe. I want Kobe to grow here. I don't believe that Kobe's role is point. I just don't. I know we forget this, but if I'm not mistaken, isn't Kobe 6'6"? 6'5"?
6'5", I think is what it is.
That's a shooting guard.
Bro, you gotta start with the height. Like this is the modern NBA. A height ain't determining position. Like in that case, Lonzo Ball would be a small forward.
Listen, I'm sorry. Did I miss where Kobe White was this elite point guard last season?
No, he's not. But I mean, he could play point guard. I just don't think he's starting point. I think the best attribute.
I don't think he's starting anything.
Yeah, well,
I think he's a six man.
Yeah, he's a great. He could be a great. Let me not say he's great yet, but he can be a great six man, especially now with his defensive effort and things that he's given now.
100%. But what I'm saying is, where would you rather have Kobe White? What position would you rather have Kobe White coming off the bench and focusing on? I would personally rather have him coming off the bench and focusing on being one of the fastest dudes. People forget this. One of the fastest dudes on a basketball court and scoring the ball with an improved ball handle. If that means that Javon's feeding them, or that means that Carlik is feeding them, or that means that it's Javon for both of them, man. If that either Javon is feeding him off of the bench, I would rather have that than Kobe White, where I feel like, not to say that we've seen this, but kind of that we felt like we all had this feeling. He was being forced to be a point guard when that wasn't what he wanted to be. Even in college, he was a scoring point guard. So I would rather see Kobe come out in a mindset of, I just want to score the ball.
I understand that, but he could do that from point guard position. He could do that from either guard position. It really depends. To me, it depends on what you have out there with Kobe. What is the unit he's out there joining with? If he's out there with a Zach LaVine, he's going to be running point. If he's out there with the DeMar, he's probably still going to be running point, but DeMar is going to be doing a lot of that. If he's out there with the Alex Caruso, he's probably going to be running. Well, who knows? Because Alex Caruso could be a starting power forward. You just never know.
Well, I guess here's the question. What would you rather see Kobe be?
I don't care about position. I'd rather see Kobe play a role. The role that I want to see Kobe do is have his decision-making last season was improved, especially out in transition. His point of attack defense, weak side defense, all good. That shot wasn't it started coming on in the second half of the season, but I don't care about position. I want to see Kobe with the ball in his hands, and I want to see Kobe be given an opportunity to make things happen, whether that is to make a play for himself, whether that is to to help break down the defense, maybe kick it out to somebody else. I'm not saying he's like a facilitator where he's going to be running straight up half court sets like Chris Paul. Chris Paul can't do that anymore either, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's not about a position for Kobe. It's more about a role. How you want to utilize Kobe is the biggest thing there, and you can utilize him. I think it depends on who he's out there with.
Okay, better way to ask the question. Who out of the names that we're talking about as guys that could come on and learn in this preseason schedule accentuates what we want Kobe to do the best? That's a better way to ask the question, probably. Because you're talking about a guy like Carlik Ayo. You're talking about Carlik Ayo.
You keep bringing up Carlik. Carlik ain't getting no minutes, bro. Even if Carlik is on the Bulls roster, Carlik ain't getting no minutes, bro.
Well, okay. So you're talking
he's
about
not playing no minutes.
Well, here's the thing. I feel the same way about JFL.
Neither one of them are playing minutes. Yeah.
And I think this is the tough part, right? Because I feel the same way about the entire Summer League team. I don't think Julian Phillips is going to play. I don't think that Adama Sanago, I think that if guys get hurt, Adama Sanago could play.
Billy's the whole time they bring back Tony Bradley.
He's too stubborn with it, right? And like we know that he's tied to this scheme, and he doesn't. At least in Chicago, he hasn't played these young guys. So I don't have confidence that anybody in Summer League is going to play in the NBA season. Your starting row. Let's say you're 8, right? What's your 8? Because Billy's only really playing 8. I would say Zach, Kobe, Javon for sure. You're talking about Torrey Craig, Nikola Vucevic, Alex Caruso. Who am I missing here? I said Kobe already. Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine. I don't know if I said Zach. And then maybe that 8th spot is up for grabs. Maybe you're going Dalen. Maybe Dalen.
So we had I just looked at it real quick. We had 9 players average over 15 minutes per game last season under Billy Donovan. Yeah. That was Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams,
Kobe
White.
I didn't say DeMar like an idiot. I didn't say DeMar.
Kobe White, Ayo Dusnmu, Andre Drummond, 12.7. Goran while he was here, but that was replaced by Patrick Beverly, Alex Caruso, and Derrick Jones Jr., all averaging over 15 minutes per game for the Chicago Bulls. So by nature of that, the first 5 are getting the same. Zach, DeMar, Vooch, Patrick Williams, Kobe. They're playing tons of minutes. Whether starting they're playing tons of minutes. Look at you got to add Javon Carter. That he's absolutely playing tons of minutes.
Javon Carter,
Torrey Craig's playing tons of minutes as well.
Probably 15. I don't know.
And then Andre Drummond, I think is probably Andre Drummond averaged 12.7 last year. I'm hoping with him coming back, he's going to average. I'm going to say
I don't think he will.
I'm going to say Vooch being older, averaging 33.5. I'm going to say they get Vooch more towards 31. I'm going to say Andre Drummond gets a couple of more minutes. I'm saying he gets right under 15 minutes.
Only reason I don't think he will is because it's an average, right? And on an average, there's a lot of games last season where we all look at Drummond probably every third game and go, "Hey, bro, like what you got to get off the court." Like why'd you punch him in the face when he came for a layup? Like there was no reason.
No, it was no reason. That's funny. I mean, we'll see, man. I think, and also I do want to say this, and I don't trust it, but I'm hoping that Billy Donovan also adjusts some things and realizes like you could have won against Miami last season. You decided to take Kobe White and Andre Drummond out the game, who got us back in that game.
Yep.
100%. Let's hope that as well. While we talked earlier about AK learning from his mistakes, let's hope Billy Donovan also learns from some of his mistakes.
We'll see, man. I mean, it's the part. I told y'all this before he got here. Whether you will follow me on the Windy City Breeze or not, Billy Donovan is who he is. As most coaches in the
how
NBA
many games last season do you think Andre Drummond played more than 20 minutes?
More than 20?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say 20.
4.
I was way high.
4
I'm not surprised by that. I knew it was going to be a low number because here's the thing. Listen, I know that he doesn't fit. He doesn't. We can believe what we want. He rebounds. You want to know what people don't care about at the end of a lot of these moments is guys who rebound but can't do nothing with it. This is a modern NBA. They want people that can grab the rebound and either push it or find the guy who's open. Andre Drummond can't do either.
Bro, on the defensive rebound side, or the offensive rebound side, he's trying to try to yam it.
On the offensive rebound side, you love it.
He's going to get 4 more rebounds.
But Haize, come on, bro. We know how he's getting his offensive rebound. Don't do this to me. I don't want to slander him here. It's off a Euro step, miss. It hits the front of the rim. He grabs it, pump fake. Somebody jumps, runs into him. He puts it up, misses, grabs it again, pump fake. He jumps out of the way because he's like, I'm tired of being a part of this play. And then Drummond two-hand jams it. I like Andre. I do. But we know where the offensive boards are more times than not coming from. And it's a good thing, but at the end of the day, those 4 boards equal at most 4 points.
It's so funny because I know how to trigger Pat, and that was exactly how I wanted to end the episode. Let's get up out of here, bro.
Man. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. You can follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. I'm tired of this man, dog.
Oh, man, that is hilarious. You can follow me at CEO Haize, that's CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check out Locked On NBA, where Pat the Designer's on there on the Thursday episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Technically Thursday. I'll be recording it tomorrow night, and I'll be exhausted.
So make sure you guys go and follow that as well. But, man, for Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. We about here. Peace, y'all.
Peace. I didn't want to disrespect Andre. You made me do it.